Hello, 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 everybody. Can you guys hear me? Is everything great? I'm going to go ahead and jump right into it. My name is Oliver Adams. I'm a top artist for Clairol Professional, and I'm so excited to be here with you guys today on this DIY You Live class. This is a DIY live. We're taking over Sally Beauty, so we're so excited about that. And today, the topic is no gray days, right? How many of us are dealing with those unwanted grays, and they just make our life just like we just want to go crazy every time we see them, right? So today, what we're going to talk about is how you can create beautiful shades and cover your gray, right? You can see my pre-done model. Isn't she beautiful, right? Today we want to knock down the, the myth that, because you have gray coverage, you can't still have fun hair color, right? And as you can see, this young lady has beautiful, vibrant pops of red and copper, but she also has about 50% gray down here at the roots. So we were able to go in there with our Clairol Professional Permanent Color, which we're going to talk a little bit more about that, where you're going to get 100% gray coverage, and you're going to infuse that hair with shine and moisture. But today, we want to show you how you can have some fun with gray coverage, right? Gray coverage doesn't have to be boring. We hear gray coverage and we're like, this is for my grandmother. But no, a lot of people are dealing with premature grays way before they're supposed to. And if you're not in your 50s or 60s or not really wanting to go for that gray look, well, we're going to teach you today how you can have some fun and have no more gray days. You guys cool with that? Sounds good, right? All right. Again, my name is Oliver Adams, top artist. I'm coming today from Las Vegas, and we're so excited. If you guys are tuning in from the West Coast or Midwest or South, we're just really, really excited to have you with us today. So without further ado, I'm gonna just start to get into my model. Now look how beautiful this looks, right? So you can see a lot of the gray coverage in the basin and the dark areas in the back, but we just went in there and gave her some nice splashes of color with these signature money pieces in the front. All right. So this is kind of what we're looking for. I'm going to bring on my model today. This is beautiful. I wanted to show you guys two things. This young lady has gray coverage, which we're going to go in and we're going to cover the gray. I don't know if you guys can really see it, but she's probably around 30 to 40%. So as we're going in and covering this gray, I'm also going to give you guys some tips on how you can formulate gray coverage to get those looks that you want and to give you 100% gray coverage. Now you'll see she has highlights. A lot of times you guys are having previous color that doesn't have anything to do with the gray hair. So we wanted to show you that where you don't have to get rid of this dimension. You can still have gray coverage and pops of color, right? So with this, I also want to show you guys, we're doing this on curly hair. And a lot of myths, a lot of people believe that you cannot use lightener on this texture of hair. And so I went in here and really created some nice highlights using our Shimmer Lights by Clairol Professional, which is a great lightener to use, especially when you're dealing with this texture, because one, it's going to be a very mild lightener, right? I use just 10 volume to get these beautiful pops of blonde in here. Yes, just 10 volume, which is another thing we have to understand when we're doing lightener at home, guys. Stop reaching for that bleaching 40 volume. It's not necessary all the time. We can create the same amount of lightness using a 10 or 20 volume, and it's much, much better for the texture, especially for this texture of hair. So that was the first thing I wanted to show you guys. Using 10 volume, you can create these beautiful blondes. Now, we can go in here and still tone these blondes, or we can let it, stay in this honey blonde family. We could also go in here and maybe kick up a couple more highlights with the 10 volume so that you get even more dimensional look. So I'm going to kind of go in here today. We're going to achieve her gray coverage at the roots, and I'm also going to show you guys a really cool pattern where you can highlight these natural curls and accentuate the beauty. All right, sounds good? All right, let's just jump into it. And don't forget, guys, we will be doing giveaways during this. We have, I think, 2 or 3 giveaways. If you look on the screen, you should see how you can enter to get some of these giveaways. So make sure you participate and take care of that. Everybody loves free stuff, right? All right, let me set up real quick. So Miss Keisha here, I'm gonna just bring her down a little bit. I'm gonna go in here. First of all, what I wanna talk to you guys about, a lot of times when we're doing this gray coverage, especially at home, the number one thing is making sure that you pick the proper product that you're gonna use, right? Now, when we're talking about gray coverage, a lot of people, you'll go and reach for that demi-permanent or that rinse, but I'm here to let you guys know for the perfect gray coverage, maximum gray coverage, what we suggest is permanent hair color, right? Now, we have a beautiful new tone, or several new tones, but we're going to talk about Clairol Professional Premium Permanent Cream Hair Color. This is my number one go-to when we're talking about gray coverage, because you're going to get the benefits of 100% gray coverage in all types of beautiful tonal families. This is one of my favorites, 5BB, which is going to give you like a rich chocolate brown. Because a lot of times what we're doing, especially I see it all the time with you guys at home, what you're doing is you're trying to cover gray with black, 1 in, 2 in. And this is one of the hardest things to keep up with, and probably one of the, for me, it's one of the worst ways that you can go about covering gray, right? So what we want to do is give it a little more natural look. So I love to use more like 3 ins, 4 ins, 5BB. We have a 4BB. Anywhere that's going to be above that 1 or 2 mark, a 3, 4, 5. And if you guys are paying attention at home, what 3, the number tells you is how light or dark it is, right? It has nothing to do with the tone. It could be a 3R, a 3B, a 3N, a 3G. The letter is going to tell you the tonal family, but the number is going to tell you how light or dark it is. You guys with me? All right. So whenever the lower the number is, that means it's dark. So as the numbers go up, that means they're starting to go up in lightness. All right, you guys with me? So when we're talking about gray coverage, for me, maximum gray coverage is going to be around the level 3, 4, and 5. All right. Anytime you're going up above that, like saying you're 6, 7s, or 8s, then we're talking about gray blending, which is a completely different thing. All right. So before you guys go in there and mix up, you need to understand, what am I trying to achieve here? Am I trying to blend the gray, or am I trying to cover the gray? Because it's 2 different things. Covering the gray means you don't want it to ever look like you had any type of gray. And in order to do this, you're going to have to stay around your level 3 or 4. All right. And now some people come in and they don't want to be dark. They still want to be lighter. They want to have light brown tones, blonde tones, but they still have to cover that gray. So this is when we get into gray blending, which is using like a level 6, 7, or 8 it's just going to soften that gray, right? So once you put that 6, 7, or 8 on top of a gray hair, what it's going to do is just soften it and make it look more like a soft brown or blonde, as opposed to that silvery, stringy gray hair. So that's gray blending. So once we've decided whether we're going to do gray blending or gray covering, then we can continue with doing a proper gray coverage. So for this look, we're going to do more of a gray coverage. We're not trying to really blend it. We want to really kind of just make it go away. And the great thing about permanent color when you're using for gray coverage is, a lot of times when we use demi-permanents or rinses, what happens is every time we shampoo it, we're knocking some of that color out. And when we knock some of that color out, what ends up happening is what? Those grays start to pop in. So now you're like, oh, my grays didn't cover, or, if you're going to a salon, he didn't cover my grays correctly. No, what's ended up happening is you're using the wrong product. So with this permanent hair color, that means whenever you see new gray, it's not that this didn't work, it's new gray. It's new growth, right? Anything we put this on and we let it saturate and we let it process for the 30 to 45 minutes, that hair is never going to be gray again. Complete 100% gray coverage. So that's why I like using permanent color, because it's going to give me the permanent results that I'm looking. I'm not going to have to continue to fight with those gray hairs. So pro tip, if you're using gray coverage at home and you're wanting to know what you're going to do, you want to use permanent color and 20 volume for 100% gray coverage. All right. And again, if we're trying to cover, we're going to stay around the range of 3, 4, 5. If we're trying to blend, we can go up to 6, 7, 8. All right. I hope that helps. So let me mix this up. So with her roots, we're going to use our 5BB. And what I love about this, it is a cream, all right? And what cream is going to mean is that you're going to be able to get very good coverage, very fast, and it's going to saturate. I like liquid color too, but a lot of times with liquid color, when we're dealing with this texture, it can be a little bit more messy. With the cream color, I love it because what it does is it stays and saturates exactly where you put it. And especially when I'm only trying to concentrate this color at the roots, and we don't want to bring it to the mid shaft or the ends, cream is going to allow me to have that consistency where wherever I put that color, it stays. All right. So let me mix that up. You guys can see again, this is 5BB, lightest chocolate brown. I'm going to show you guys when I put it in here, the consistency that it looks like. Okay. Guys see that? So this is before I put the developer in, but you see how thick that is, right? Very creamy, right? Now this mixes equal parts. So I'm going to go in with my 20 volume. Again, you see the 4 soy plex. This is going to give me my nice shine and moisture, 20 volume, okay? Whenever, again, write this down. Remember this. Whenever you're dealing with gray, 20 volume is going to give you the best coverage, okay? This mixes 1 to 1. So I have it on my scale, and I use 1.5 ounce color, 1.5 ounce developer. And we mix that. See that? A whisk really helps too, but a brush is gonna really allow you to get in here. Now, if you're doing this at home, you could definitely use a bottle and brush. With the cream, you're just gonna add a little bit more developer, maybe like 1/2 ounce, just so that it can give you that consistency where it'll come out of that bottle real easy. I always prefer bowl and brush so that I get that beautiful consistency. You guys see that? So if you can see on the brush that that color is not going anywhere, you know that it's not going to be leaking and dripping all over your hair and your hairline and your clothes and your cape, right? So this is the consistency that we wanted. All right. Now I just go in here. Can you guys see this? Let me lift her up a little bit. So weird, y'all not talking back to me, but I hope you guys are following along. I'm going to leave the last 10 or 15 minutes for questioning. All right. We're just going to dive in. Now, with gray coverage, for me, I always like to start in the front. Why? This is where your clients, and this is what you see mostly when you're doing your hair, is right here in the front and everything from the front of the ear forward, right? So wherever you start, that means that's where that color is going to be on the longest, giving you the most coverage. So I like to start on that hairline in the front, because this is where her grays are most prominent, and she says this is what drives her the most crazy, right? As you can see, we're just going to start with I start in the middle, in the front, and then I just go in here, and we're putting about 1 inch to 1.5 inches on those roots. And we can do this fairly quickly. You guys can watch. But what we're making sure that we don't do is pull that all the way to the mid shaft to the ends, right? I'm going to be very intentional of where I'm putting that hair color, right? Right there on those grays, especially on that hairline. You know those clients, make sure you get all my grays on that hairline. They definitely see that the most. I'm going to make sure that we saturate that right there, right? Now, for the guys that you're doing this at home, I would suggest putting this into 4 sections and doing the first 2 sections first, and then doing the last 2 sections in the back last, right? But with this natural hair, you can kind of keep it in its natural fall and just kind of, work it like that. You guys see? And again, with that creamy consistency, it's going right there where I put it, right? We're not leaking everywhere. We're not making a mess. We're just putting it right there. And I like to do a nice little pat. And I hit it with my finger a little bit and go to the next section. When we're doing our sections, we're wanting to make sure that we take small sections so we're not missing any gray hair, right? Now, the great part about using this permanent color is that once I'm finished with using it on my gray coverage, I can also use it as a toner, right? So with my highlights, I can add a little chocolate brown to them by just pulling this through to the ends for maybe 10 minutes, the last 5 or 10 minutes of her processing. or we can actually formulate a whole different other color. But the thing that I want you to see is that just because you're getting gray coverage does not mean you don't get to have fun with your highlights and stuff like that. You can still have blonde and still have red and cover that gray as well. You guys with me? Now, here's another thing that we want to make sure that we understand. Whatever percentage gray that you have, that's what percentage of N needs to be in that formula, right? Now, this kind of goes over some people's heads, so I'm going to break it down as simple as I can, right? So we know what N means, right? When we're doing hair color, N means what? Neutral, natural. And that's what gray hair is missing. So whenever, how many guys have tried to cover gray hair and you say you wanted a red brown and you put that red on there, you don't put any N in the formula, and then you're just coming out looking like straight Kool-Aid, right? Or like ketchup. It's like super red. We've all seen those older ladies that, try to cover with the red and they're going for a red brown, but instead it just looks like, whoa, that's super red, right? Or the same thing when we're using like a shimmering lights or something, right? And you see these ladies and their hair is like super purple or super blue, right? What's missing from your formula is the N. So what you have to understand is if your hair is 20% gray, 40% gray, that's the percent of N that you need to put in your formula. Her, she's about 30%. So I could have put, if I wanted her to be reddish brown, I would have used like a 4RR and then 30% for N, the same level. So we got a 4R and a 4N. And we're just putting 70% of the 4R and 30% of the 4N. That's going to give me a beautiful coverage. So that's going to keep it from looking too red. That's going to give it that nice, beautiful reddish brown. So again, remember, we also have double N's or double B's. Like this one I'm using is a BB, which means it's like a double dose of the dye to give you 100% gray coverage. So that's what I really love about the permanent hair color, especially with the soy fourplex. You're going to be able to get gray coverage 100%, but you're also going to be able to get the shine and the conditioning that the soy fourplex offers. All right. And you guys see how I'm just keeping that right there on the roots, right? We're not bringing it all the way through. If you're doing the proper gray coverage, then you should not see gray in the mid shaft or the ends. All right. Now, if this was a new client and she hadn't been coming to me and she was still just, wanting to change her color or whatever, I could go in here and give her 100% gray coverage, but I'm going to go in there and add some dimension with highlights. Okay. Does that make sense to you guys? All right. So I'm working this through. And as you can see, with this, you don't really need heat. You can put it under the dryer. I don't really normally suggest that. We're going to cover this in about, once we get it completely applied, it's going to go about 30 minutes for processing, and then she'll be ready to go. We shampoo this out, and we'll be ready to style her out. Okay? Makes sense? Very, very simple. And again, when I'm going through here with my sections, I wanted to make sure that I'm not taking larger than 1/4 inch sections. Whenever you do that, what you end up doing is kind of missing some of the gray hair. So we want to be very intentional. We want to make sure that we're saturating that color too. We're getting this beautiful. Now, by using this 5BB, what that means is our grays, are they going to necessarily be gone or are they going to be blended, right? A level 5 to me is going to make it where her grays are going to be like a beautiful, rich chocolate color, right? It's going to look natural. It's not going to look like, oh my gosh, she just got her hair colored, but it's going to be very effective in covering those grays and giving her a beautiful soft tone that matches her highlights. All right, you guys with me? All right. Let me go to the other half. So I work this middle all the way to this side. Now we'll go over here, rotate her, and get on the other side. I don't go to the back until we have finished the front section. All right, that's going to give us that good gray coverage that we need. And with her, like most people, most of her grays are right here in the front, in the temple area and like in this crown. Not a lot in the back. So as long as you're doing great saturation in that front, she's going to love you. If you're doing this at home, you're going to love yourself if you do it this way. Because again, you want that gray coverage color to be where the gray is the most. And that's usually going to be in the front. Okay. You guys see that? All right. See if I can show you guys. So this side of her hair is done. You see it. Again, that gray. Beautiful, but her highlights are still hanging on. All right. A lot of times what you'll want to do is just get that off her hairline. One thing I do love about this color too, it does not stain. A lot of times you're using color and you get it and it'll be stained on their scalp, or you go to shampoo and you can't see it. I mean, you'll be seeing that color for days. With this permanent color, it does not do that. It's going to rinse right on out. All right, but it's going to stay with that gray coverage. So again, you can work through this fairly quickly. And what I like to do in that last 5 minutes, especially if I'm trying to go for like a monochromatic look, or we want to keep her highlights still in this rich chocolate brown, I'll just use this same formula if I have it left over and just pull it through for the last 5 or 10 minutes to just kind of add some tone to those highlights. Now, if we want to keep them kind of popping and we don't want that contrast, we don't have to do that. We can use other options, but that's just a quick color hack. If you have some color left over, use it in the last 5 or 10 minutes, and you'll be able to, use it as a toner too, as well as the gray coverage. So that's something we do in the salon all the time. Or we could just go ahead and mix something else, like a 4R, and make these highlights really pop with a little red to them. Super cool. Now, once I finish this, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how you can actually add highlights at the same time while this hair color is processing. All right. I'll pull her back a little bit so you guys can see that. Okay. Here we go. All right. You guys with me so far? I love to see it. What you guys thinking? Should we pop her highlights a little red or keep them in this chocolate blonde family? My first mind is to go with more of a chocolate, since we're moving into fall. We're getting kind of up out of that red summer look. But, berries are really nice for the fall too. So we could go either way. But I'm thinking I'm going to keep it in the chocolate family. All right. And again, if you were doing this at home and you were using a bowl and brush, a bottle, it would be no problem. You would just go in with your bottle and just put it on the actual, maybe like this much from the roots, and then you'll be good to go. All right. And my clients around this time are all coming in and they're ready. They've had their fun color for the summer, and they're ready to kind of tone it down for the fall. So these are some of the tones that we're doing. A lot of chocolates, a lot of mochas, a lot of rich reds. That's going to keep you on trend for your fall colors. And so we start knocking those on down like mid-August. So you're about a week or two away. So if you're planning on doing some new color and you need to cover some grays, please keep Clairol Professional Permanent color in mind, because it's a great one. And again, as you see, it's very gentle. It's going to give her that nice shine. Can't lose. All right, y'all with me in there? And I just want to take a time out to thank Sally Beauty for, allowing me to do this. They've been partners with us with Clairol Professional for many, many years. And I've always come through with what they're, designed to do. So I want to thank you guys for giving us this platform to show your peoples how they can have no more gray days, right? Yeah. I'm at the salon. If you guys hear the phone ringing, sorry about that. But we are definitely booked and busy, and that's a good thing. So, but as I'm going through here, I'm just making sure I saturate every section, right? That's very important when you're dealing with gray coverage, because a lot of times we go in here and we're trying to hurry up and we're like, shh, then you end up missing some of the grays, and then you're going to see that at the end. So take your time, do your sections right, make sure that you're not taking too big of sections, and that's going to really help you. Application is very, very important, all right? Especially if you're doing it at home by yourself, you're going to want to make sure that you saturate and don't miss any of those hairs, all right? All right, so I'm pretty much finished with her. We also want to make sure that we cover that hairline really, really well. I mean, your clients don't care about anything but that hairline, I promise you. And those of you that are doing it at home, again, they really, really care about that hairline. So when you're at home, you make sure you put that on there pretty good, all right? All right, so we got that from ear to ear. We're not gonna worry about the back. We're just gonna focus on the front for demonstration purposes. And then we're gonna go in here. As you can see with our model, she has that great coverage, but you see her highlights are still popping. So we just focused that probably not even an inch from her roots. We're able to, you see how that cream color just goes exactly where you put it. So you guys can see that, right? Now, while she has this on, this is a great time for you to upsell, or if you're doing this at home, it's a great time to add a little extra oomph to your look, right? So that's what we're gonna do here. I'm gonna add some highlights. For me, what I love about using this curly hair is you really don't need foils. You could use foils if you want to, but you don't have to. And for this, we're gonna go with our 5RRV. Can you guys see that? 5RRV, lightest intense red violet, right? So that's why I also like using that 5BB because it's a chocolate base. And chocolate goes well with pretty much anything as an accent, right? So you can use a chocolate brown accent for blondes, for light browns, and it looks really, really great with reds too. So it's almost going to give you like a chocolate cherry vibe, right? A chocolate covered cherry. So if the roots is our chocolate with our 5BB, then we're going to use this 5RRV to pop it out on the ends and give her that intense red violet, right? And again, because she's already got her highlights, and some of you guys have older color, this works perfect. It's a great way to refresh your old color and give it some new pop without introducing any more lightener to the situation, okay? So let me mix this up real quick, guys. All right, I'm gonna show you. All right, guys, let's do it. So again, we're coming with our 5RRV. No tips or tricks, no tricks. I'm showing it right out of the tube, right? Beautiful. What are we gonna mix it with? 20 volume. Now, could we use 10 volume? Absolutely. 10 volume, what it's going to do is give us more of a rich deposit only. 20 volume is going to give us just a little bit of lift because I don't want it to go too dark, but it's going to also make sure that we get 100% gray coverage on any straggling grays that might have made their way to the mid shafts at the ends. So 20 volume is great, ideal. 10 volume, definitely not wrong. 30 volume, especially when you're using reds, is going to add a little bit more orange to the situation. So when I'm using my reds, especially my RRs or RBs, I definitely want to keep it in the 20 or 10. Sometimes I'll even mix half 10, half 20 to give you more like a 15 volume, right? So very, very important what developer you're using. But again, this mix is equal parts, 1-1. We'll get to mixing that up. You guys with me so far? So again, gray coverage can be fun. I know a lot of my new stylists, they're like, but gray coverage is one of the #1 color services that you can find. So understanding how to choose a developer, what tones to pick, using the right permanent color is very, very important. And again, remembering to add whatever percentage gray you have, that amount of in your formula is going to be huge. All right. So we've mixed this up. You see the consistency. Again, that cream is going to allow you to really use that color and let it stay where it goes. All right. So I just, again, start working from her roots. Since we already have root color on, we're just going to start taking sectioning and pull it out. Okay. Now it's okay if you have a little bit of overlappage. What that's going to do is give you a nice color blend. As you see, I just take this section right here. I'll have some of that color and I just go in and start saturating with my red. And this is the fun part, guys. You can get your hands dirty a little bit. It's gonna, doesn't have to necessarily be messy, but you know, get your hands in there. Make sure you're saturating that color in, right? And then we just move that way to the next one. Then I take my section. Boom. Again, no matter what, probably your first instinct is to just grab this color and put it all in. But again, a professional application is going to give you a professional result in the end. So again, I would take my time, make sure I saturate every section so nothing is missing. Again, we just kind of meet that color right where the chocolate brown is, and we pull it on to the ends. And again, don't be afraid to have a little overlap, and that's going to give you a nice color blend. Boom, and just move it up. I like to work with gravity going this way, or you can work down. It's not a right or wrong for me, especially in this platform. I'm working my way up. Okay. Any questions on that, guys? And so now you'll be able to see how we're able to create beautiful gray coverage, but also give a nice dimensional look to this natural style. This is going to look good curly, or if we decide to straighten it out. And I'm just taking my sections. Boom. No more than an inch. Pull it out. Making sure I take my color, saturate. Real simple, guys. But now you're seeing how this young lady's hair is going to be 2, 3 dimensional, and it's not going to just look like one block gray coverage color. All right. And you're able to really give yourself that salon hair look. Make sense? Sometimes I even put a little bit of that red on that chocolate just to, give it a nice little custom color vibe. Making sure we stay clean with our application. And again, all right, you guys with me? This is one of my favorite things to do in the salon, gray coverage, because I like to see how creative we can get. Have grandma out here looking lit, you heard me? Auntie them, all of them. Ready to step outside. When you get that hair color right, you ready to step outside. We outside, right? Yes, indeed. You ain't going nowhere with that hair not right. We already know, and that don't matter where you at. So very, very important. All right. Saturate. Move to the next side. So you start to see we have all of that saturated. Yes. Get this off Miss Keisha's face. You doing all right, love? You need a drink, water, anything good? You excited about your new color? Amazing. All right. We just spin her around in our chair like that. We go to the next part. And you guys can see, though I have 2 colors, am I having to use foil to separate these? No, not at all. Could I use foil to separate these? For sure. But is it wrong to not use foil? Absolutely not. When I'm dealing with natural hair, we love to not use foil, almost do it in a more of a pintura type fashion where you're actually doing the highlights where you individually picking up those curls and deciding which ones you want to pop out. I call it curl personality, right? Every curl is not created equal. So, some curls want to be Beyonce, some want to be Kelly and Michelle. So it's you as the artist, it's up to you to kind of visualize that and see, which one is giving you Beyonce vibes and want to really pop out with some blonde, and which is more of just like a support role or background type of vibe. You need both. So it's not a right or wrong, but you know what happens when you try to make the background singer the the main one and she not ready. So we're not gonna do that with these grays. How we looking on time, guys? Okay, we got about 5-10 more minutes of demo before I'll get into answering you guys' questions. So I hope you have some good ones that you can see. We're just going in here, creating our beautiful RV. And I'm loving it. Sometimes even in the back, I might or might not put this RV because, we like the dimension, right? So when we're dealing with dimension, it's all good. We can't have too much dimension. No one ever says, oh, that's just too much dimension. It's too colorful. It's too, no, that usually doesn't happen. The more, the better. So as an artist, you decide that. It could be just as come down as simple as you ran out of color. So now what we got to do, we just got to make it intentionally be two-tone. And that's okay. Go with it. I want you guys to have fun with this color. It's not such a serious thing like brain or heart surgery, you know? It's just color, man. I get some clients, boy, they be so serious. I'm like, relax, boo. It's just highlights, mamas. I promise. It's gonna be okay. You know, I'm probably extra, so you know, I always like to mess with my client, get them going. All right. So again, you see, I'm just taking those sections, saturating. This color will sit on here for maybe 20 minutes, and she'll be ready to go. Her curls will be living their best life, no grays, and a brand new color. And she's ready to go. Feeling good about herself, feeling good about her look. I'm feeling good because I'm about to get paid. But again, this is what we do in the salon. Very easy for you to do at home if you have the right products and understand the proper sectioning and what we're trying to achieve. So as a quick recap, remember, guys, let's get away from covering those grays with 1N, black, 2N. Let's try a little bit more softer gray coverage like with our 3, 4, and 5. N's, BBs, RRs, RVs, right? Let's just try it. Even if you've been using 1N for years, stop it now and let's start to, you know, shift you over to a more softer, natural gray coverage look using like a 3N or 4N. I think that's going to really, really make a huge difference in what you see. And also, let's stop using those rinses to cover gray. It makes no sense to use a rinse that only is temporary and only will last 2 or 3 shampoos to cover gray. Your gray is going to be right back in 2 or 3 shampoos. And who wants that? What a waste of time. So again, let's stop using that and let's try to use permanent color, excuse me, guys, permanent color as a source of permanent gray coverage. Does it make sense? All right, cool. All right, so now we see that she has most of this. We can just kind of work it in there like that. Right? I don't know how my baby's getting so messy. Do apologize. All right, but nothing, a quick wipe won't hurt. Right? And we come in here, and we're bringing it back. Saturate. All righty. All right, now I got the back in this back because we don't have as many highlights or anything. We don't have to take such small sections, but we want to make sure that we are definitely taking the maybe inch sections and saturating. Overall, depending on how much hair you have, this whole process shouldn't take you more than 20 to 30 minutes to get all of this hair color in. And then you let it sit for about 20 minutes. All right. You guys can start to see that red already looking so beautiful. Whew. I love it. Guys, remember, when you're coming from blondes and old light color, red is going to be one of the best colors that you can give it a whole new look without putting a lot of extra stress on the hair. So R's and RVs are a lot of fun for this fall, right? Because the RRV, what it does is a lot of times with the RR, it's going to give you that super ketchup or like red, what else? Red, fire engine red type of color. The violet is going to cool it down so it's not so aggressive, right? People love red, but you don't necessarily want to look like, you know, super red coming into the spot. So adding that V almost acts like an N where it'll just cool that red down and give it a nice little, you know, beautiful red violet color as opposed to just strictly red. All right. We can let her sit for about 20 minutes and she'll be ready to go. And we'll be ready to answer some questions for you guys. All right. Pro baby. All right. You guys can see that. We'll let her sit there right there. And now let's get into some questions. Any questions? Let's see. Missouri says, do you have products for the very sensitive skin? That's a very good question. We don't have special products for that, but when I do have a client that has sensitive skin, what I like to do is I'll add a little base before the color, especially around the hairline and stuff, which definitely helps. And then what I'll usually do is go down on my developer. So where I would normally volume, and she's got sensitive skin, I'll use 10 volume or maybe even like a 6 volume, something that's going to be very, very gentle. So thank you for that question, Azuri. What else you got? Sharon, so we can do this at home by ourselves? Absolutely. So when dealing with this, like I said, if you're dealing with, the first thing you want to identify is how much gray coverage do I need? Is the number one goal of this doing my color at home, is it to cover gray? Is it to add highlights? Is it to refresh old color? You know, you have to understand what exactly you're trying to do. But you can absolutely do this. If you're trying to do gray coverage at home, again, I would suggest our permanent, Clairol Permanent. Looks like this, right? This is a gel. This comes with a developer. I would suggest with 20 volume, you use this on your gray coverage. Now, this is our 4 VVR. This is if you're going for more of a burgundy. But we have several shades where, depending on if you want to be in the chocolate family, golden brown, honey, ash, you know, you decide that. And then you can absolutely do this at home. And you can get this at Sally Beauty in the color section. And the developer looks like this. All right. So they're color coded and they match. Right. So thank you for that question. You can absolutely do this at home. What else you guys got? Oh, y'all got some good questions. Colette, how often can gray be touched up with permanent color? Excellent question. So my gray coverage, I usually suggest that my clients come in every 6 to 8 weeks, because what you're doing is that's not covering the gray that you already covered at their last appointment. That's giving you time to have enough new growth to cover. The average hair grows between, you know, a quarter and a half inch per month. So 6 to 8 weeks is going to give you where you have at least an inch or so. And by then, especially if you're dealing with gray, you're going to see that. So it'll be time. So I would say come through. And again, when you're doing the retouch, you're only keeping that gray coverage right there at the roots. You don't have to pull that all the way through to the ends. So you really just want to focus on that new growth and keep it going. So I would suggest 6 to 8 weeks. Some people's hair might grow faster. You might go 4 weeks. Some people's might grow slower. You might go to 10 weeks. But as a general guide, 6 to 8 weeks is what I do for my gray cut touch up. All right. Thank you for that question, Colette. Any more? Susan, hello all. Do all the colors provide gray coverage? My mom likes the cinnamon brown, so which one is best? Great question. Yes, you're going to get 100% gray coverage from our permanent color if you use it with the proper developer and you allow it to process for the amount of time that we suggest. For a nice cinnamon, which to me is like a reddish brown, I love to use the 5BB, which is this. And then we add probably, I don't know, depending on how much hair, I would say a half an ounce or an ounce of the RRV. When you mix these two right here, you're going to get a beautiful cinnamon sugar, cinnamon type of color. All right. So again, you're going to want it to be more brown, because if you think about cinnamon, it's more brown than it is red, but you want to put just a little bit of this red in there so that it's not too red, because you're going to get more into like a copper. But I would use like an ounce and a half of this and a half ounce of this. All right. That'll give you a beautiful cinnamon color. And that's the great thing about these tones, guys. They're completely intermixable, so you can customize them how you want. You don't have to just go out of the tube. Say you want a red brown, you can create it. Say you want, a golden brown, you can create it. So that's one of the fun things about it. There's really no right or wrong. It's just all about how you want to creatively mix it. For me, I would also get like a paper towel, and when you mix it, you can actually use a brush and put it on that towel first, that white paper towel, and you can actually see how it's going to look. And that white paper towel is indicative of a gray, a gray hair. So whatever it looks like on that paper towel is exactly how it's going to look like on that gray hair. So if it's looking too red on that paper towel, add a little bit more in, and vice versa. All right. I hope that helps. Pat, is it safe to use the product after using henna for many years? I'm so glad you asked that. So really, the thing about henna, you really can't put any type of permanent color on top of henna and really see it. So it's not a matter of it not being safe, but in order for you to really see it, you're going to have to remove that henna. And I personally would suggest you go to a salon to do that. It's a very hard process. But if you're going to do it at home, you're just going to have to use bleach and be comfortable using bleach. But henna is one of those tricky things that you cannot put color on top of it and expect to see that color. You have to remove it first. So if you have more questions about that, you can always hit my Instagram or DM after this, and I can be more specific. But all of these things that I've taught you guys, it only works when there is virgin hair or no henna or black dye present. If you have henna or black dye in the last 3 to 5 years, throw all of this out the window because you're going to have to do a corrective color first before any of this stuff will work. All right. So thank you, Pat, for that question because I meant to talk about that earlier. But if you have black or any type of henna, you're going to have to remove it first. All right. Thank you so much for that. What's the best combo for honey blonde? Hey, Miss Nikki, how you doing? My favorite for a honey blonde without using bleach, if there's no, corrective color that needs to be handled, I love to use Clairol Professional liquid or cream color, 12N or 12A, or a combination of the two, and 40 volume will give you the most beautiful honey blonde. But now remember, guys, it's always depending on what level hair we're putting it on first. So if you're putting your hair on a super dark level 1 black natural hair and you're not using bleach, the most you can get is like a nice brown on the first time. If you're putting it on like a sandy brown, like 3 or 4, you know how sometimes you have young ladies, their hair looks kind of reddish brown in the sun. If you put that same formula on that hair, it's going to get much, much lighter. In the same way, if you had blonde previously and now it's kind of faded out, but it's still light, and you put that exact formula on that, it's going to be even lighter. So it's always dependent on what level hair you're putting it on first. But for the perfect honey blonde, try 12N or 12A and 30 or 40 volume. Mwah. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you for that question, Miss Nikki. Any more questions? Oh, you guys is rolling. Pauline says, don't shampoo every day. Use color safe shampoo. Wear a hat if out in sun. I don't think that's a question, but yes, all of those are great suggestions. Now, for me, I don't really always suggest a color shampoo because color shampoos can actually fade or turn the color a whole different color. They're not bad, but I usually just would prefer my clients use just a moisturizing shampoo and conditioner. That's most important because when you're dealing with permanent color, all color is going to fade, guys. It doesn't matter how often you shampoo it, what shampoo you use. At the end of the day, it's just like your favorite shirt. When you put it in the washing machine, no matter what detergent you use, if it hits the water, it's going to fade, right? So we have to be realistic with that. So it's okay. But the main thing we want to do is make sure that the moisture and the shine is right? And that's going to allow you to not have to go in there and retouch that color so much. Again, color shampoos, they're cool, but if you have a red and you use a red shampoo, it's going to change the color that you have. So if you love that color before the shampoo, a lot of times I don't recommend putting that shampoo on it because it can, take it to another level or a different color. So just make sure that when you're using permanent color, you're using a shampoo that's going to be enriched with moisture and shine, and that's going to go a lot further for you and your color. All right. Thank you so much for that. Donna, what's the base you use for sensitive scalp? Again, I usually probably use a 3N or 4N and 10 volume or even a 6 volume. The key with sensitive scalp is you don't want to go too high on the developer. A lot of these colors have a little bit of ammonia in them already. So when you go in there with higher developers like 30 and 40 volume, that's when you start to trigger some of that sensitive skin type of allergic reactions. If you keep it at a 10 volume or even like a 6 volume, we have almost 0 volume developers as well, which is ideal for sensitive scalp clients. That's what I would try to use. But as far as the colors, you're going to use the same colors. I would use either like a 3 or a 4N because they have the lowest ammonia. But yes, 10 or 6 volume is going to help you out a lot with that. Okay. And again, pre-basing. This is something we've always done, but if you have a client that's already showing signs of irritation around her scalp or really, really super flaky, meaning they dig in their hair a lot, I would definitely look for those type of red flags. And then I would just try to go lower with my developer. All right. Hope that helps, Donna. Kelly, how do I keep my hair free from frizz? Oh, well, that's a great question, Kelly. That's not really anything that has to do with color. That's definitely something that has to do with product that you're using. So you just got to find that right product mix for you. I would suggest we have a lot of great curl and texture products within the Sebastian line, as well as with the Wella. So, go and just kind of experiment with some of those products. There's a lot of leave-in conditioners. For me, what I found when you're dealing with texture, it's usually people usually do well with either a cream or a gel. So once you find out which one your hair reacts to best, then you'll be able to really be able to customize and find the right product for you. So maybe go try a cream one and then try a more of a gel base and see which one your hair responds best to. That works for me a lot. For me, my hair doesn't curl up when you use a cream, but when you use some type of gel, I mean, it looked like I got that good hair. You know what I'm saying? That good exotic hair. So it's just a matter of finding the right product mix for you. All right. Thank you for that question, Kelly. Susan, thank you. Great tips. Awesome. I appreciate that. I hope this is helping. Um, and again, guys, make sure you follow us on social, Sally Beauty and Clairol Pro. Clairol Pro does an amazing job of making sure that we keep you guys well aware of what is the latest and greatest developments in product for all different textures of hair, especially in color. So definitely follow us. Keep up with our TikToks and Reels. You can always follow me. I'm at Color King with a K. KOLORKING. And I love to hear from you guys. If you have questions that I didn't cover here, absolutely hit me up. I follow back. I've been a professional in this industry for over 20 years. I've actually been with Clairol Professional over 20 years. My father was a platform artist and educator for Clairol Professional 20 years prior to that. So this is kind of in my DNA, guys. So, any questions that you have, I might not know the answer, but if I don't, I'll make sure that I can find it for you and get you where you need to be. All right. And with that, I do appreciate you guys taking the time. What I will do is once we process her, you can already see she's starting to tone out. So she's about ready to be rinsed and shampooed. I don't have enough time to do that on here, but what I will do is do that, diffuse her, get it out, and I will post it on my page. So if you go and check out Color King after this in a couple of hours, she should be up. And you will be able to see the before and after, okay? Again, it's all about no more gray days. So the few things that we did learn when you take away from this is one, what's the best product for gray coverage? It's permanent color. I'm not going to say it's ours, but it is. But any permanent color in 20 volume is going to give you ideal gray coverage. Can we do gray coverage and still have highlights and dimension? Absolutely. I showed you guys that, right? You can go in there, cover those grays first, then pop out an additional color on the ends, or even pop out highlights while the gray coverage is processed. Okay, so again, be creative when you're coloring your grays. Don't think you just had to be one solid color, a boring brown or black. No, my gray haired clients are having a blast, wearing fun, beautiful colors like this, right? And just having fun with it. So guys, remember, be creative, don't be scared, and always use Clairol Professional for real, and you'll be all right. All right. Is there any more questions for us? Are we good? I think we're good. All right. Well, this has been a blast, guys. I really appreciate you. Again, my name is Oliver Adams, coming to you from Las Vegas and Atlanta. Please follow us on social at Color King, at Sally Beauty, and Clairol Pro. All right.